we've had this issue now for a decade and a half, the school shooting issue. And it occurs to me that the right is always like, we need more guns. And it occurs to me that the left is always like, let's take everyone's guns away. And it occurs to me that both the politicians on the right and the politicians on the left know that those aren't real answers. That neither one of those is going to fix the problem, but they say it to keep us fighting each other. Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Faith.
And we are Mommy Drinks Politics.
Where we drink
and talk politics. Building community, step number 1, which I think you agree with.
I do.
We just don't agree on how to do it.
Right.
But just agreeing that it has to be done is a step. So you guys tell me what you think. Do you think building community is a big part of stopping gun violence? So building community is number 1. Number 2, we're probably going to disagree on this. But I think that we need more controls over people who have mental disorders or who are neurodiverse. We need more control over them having access to guns. What do you think?
That one's being talked about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Red flag laws. I don't know if you've heard that term.
I haven't.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
What folks in the government think is a good way to do this is to say that if you have something like PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a friend or family member that thinks you are dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
they can call in
Mm-hmm.
and report you
Mm-hmm.
as someone who is dangerous, a danger to themselves, danger to others, and then the police come and they take your weapon away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's no due process. There's not an innocent till proven guilty.
Even I'm not really for that. I'm not really for that because I'm like, how do we choose who the police just show up for to say, oh, let's have a conversation?
So the people who report your comments on Facebook will be the ones who report you to the government for them to take your guns.
Gotcha.
You know, the nanny people.
Gotcha.
So, because there's no controls on who gets to report, who gets to decide that you're a crazy person and a danger to yourself or society.
Gotcha. It seems like, I don't know, they would have some kind of psychologist or a psychiatrist. Like, I think I would be for that if there were a psychiatrist or a psychologist or some kind of diagnostician or professional that went along to assess the situation to find out if it's real or if it's just a troll who has decided that they don't want you to have guns.
So I don't know what that would look like.
Yeah.
Cops show up at somebody's doorstep with a psychiatrist. Please talk to this person so we can figure out whether or not you're dangerous and we can take your guns.
See, that's what's so hard. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if you own guns and you know somebody in your family or close to you who has access to them that should not, you go to the lengths you need to go to keep those away from them.
I have a friend and his son is neurodiverse, just like mine is, and his son has autism. And he told me that his son was like, I can't wait until I turn 18 so I can buy a gun and kill everyone who's ever been mean to me. And of course, as a father, he's like really upset and not sure what to do. But there's no reason that his son can't buy a gun when he turns 18 and kill everyone who's ever been mean to him. I mean, what's there to stop him?
It's a really good question, other than hopefully his father encouraging him not to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know how else you do that.
Yeah, I think, and I'm not what do you call them? I'm not a politician. I don't make policy, but it occurs to me that some law has to be put in place where if you have some kind of mental illness, you don't get access to guns unless your psychiatrist, psychologist signs off on the fact that this mental illness was, that it's past and that you are now rehabbed, rehabilitated, whatever. What do you think about that?
I think it all needs, you have to figure out who is determining who is mentally ill. So are we talking like private practice psychiatrists? Are we talking government psychiatrists?
I think as long as it's a psychiatrist, as long as it's like a board certified psychiatrist, I would think they'd have the ability to do it.
They might, but then you also get into on the government side, the possibility of a sick incentive to find people guilty.
Oh, that's true too.
Yeah,
No, I mean,
money.
I get it. I mean, I like wholeheartedly get it. It's like, well, what if they decide that they're going to target this group of people and say, you know, for instance, all black people are sick and we need to take their guns away. I get that. Trust me, I do. At the same time, I'm like, my daughter's asking me for a bulletproof backpack. And I'm to the point where I'm like, it doesn't have to be perfect, the legislation part. And I don't think that we're going to legislate this problem away in the next 5 years. But I think if we put community building and legislation that also limits some access in place, I think it's a generational problem that we might be able to fix in the next 30 years so that my kids, my grandkids' generation doesn't have to worry about it. Like, if we do nothing, do you think it gets worse? Do you think it gets better? What do you think?
I think with the way that the media is working and social media in particular, there's much more opportunity for people to become infamous.
Yes.
And have copycats and all that kind of stuff. And so I don't think it gets better because I don't see the media getting any better. I don't see the heart issues getting any better. As far as kids in school and building community, I've long thought, because we had this debate during one of the bond package hearings, we were talking about school safety officers.
Bond package hearings, was that for Texas?
It was in Arlington.
For Arlington, okay.
It was in Arlington ISD, because some folks were saying that we needed more school security officers.
Oh God,
they're so expensive
and they're annoying.
That too. But we couldn't afford it. That was the bottom line.
I'm gonna have to tell you this story about the security officer that told me I couldn't go like through this door, and I was like, I can outrun you fools. Anyway, we'll talk about that more off camera. Anyway, yes. I digress. Go ahead. So
the bottom line is we couldn't afford more school security officers. And then parents, what if you really cared about the children, the dollar amount wouldn't matter. Like, you wouldn't be able to afford your home. That's how much it would cost to have full-time security officers at these schools. And so I thought, what if we had a community group, parents getting together with veterans who have like lots of experience with protecting and defending, or off-duty police officers or former police officers, and they can form like these little community groups where they patrol
the school. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, because right now it's like they have these security officers at school, and like I said, they're so annoying. Like, they don't, first of all, they are in no shape and have no training to do anything. But that's a different subject.
The only other thing I would say is that while yes, we do think that there should be more guns and to protect,
you think there should be more guns?
I think there should be more guns,
exactly,
to protect my family and my community. Ultimately, that right
Mm-hmm.
that is protected by the Second Amendment, and Texas actually has its own Bill of Rights, and it's protected under that as well. It is to ultimately protect us from government.
Yes.
Because the largest massacres that have ever been incurred in the United States came at the hands of government. The Wounded Knee, right?
Yeah.
Mass murder of Indians who were unarmed because they had been disarmed by the government. And they came in and they were claiming peace. And they killed them all.
Gotcha. So I get that conservatives always talk about having arms to defend themselves against government. I never really believe it. I mean, and maybe it's just me, and they really do want to defend themselves against governments, but I think the government has tanks. Like, if the government wants to roll up to my house, the government doesn't even have to roll up to my house. The government does a drone strike.
Yeah, they could. Which is why we should have drones. And tanks. I want a tank.
Do you really want a tank? Oh my god. Okay, how much do you think a tank costs?
I don't know. They sell them. The federal government sells them.
Really?
Yeah, that's how the police departments end up getting them. They buy them from the federal government. Yep. Special program.
Okay. So yeah. So getting back to yeah, so I'm sorry, my mind is just blown by the fact that you want to take. So yes. So conservatives always say we want to defend ourselves against the government. But I think that's an impossibility. I mean, do you really think that with the, I don't know, handful of pistols and rifles and carbines and automatic weapons that I have at my house, I'm going to defend myself against the government?
I don't know how much of a chance did the Revolutionary War forefathers have against a well-funded, well-armed British army.
The thing is that the British had muskets and the colonists had muskets. The British had cannons. The colonists had cannons. But it was really the government. It was the colonial government who had those cannons. And so it occurs to me that we think, oh, we need this so that we can fight against the government. But wasn't it really the government who won the fight against the English?
Who is the government?
The government, the people running
the people. Government is of the people. It is people.
So if the government is the people, why can't we just let the government have all the guns to protect us?
Because people are sinful, right? They have heart issues. And a lot of them go into government so they can control other people's lives.
Gotcha. I hear you. Like, I think this is another thing that we're going to disagree on. I just don't think if the government wants to blow us up right now, we're dead.
Yeah, they could do that.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about this issue?
I don't think so. I think we pretty well covered it.
Okay, cool. So to wrap it up, to fix gun violence, we need to A, fix our communities somehow, some way, through community programs that build our responsibility to each other.
Yes.
And I think that was the big one. That was like the one thing that we agreed on.
Yeah. So everything else
is secondary. I think the other thing that we have to do really is stop looking at each other as others. But I think that will, when we build a community, that will be like a side effect. Because I really feel like we look at each other as others. Like, it's like, oh, I need a gun to protect myself against the others. Those criminals, those other people, that are really just us.
Right.
So let us know what you think in the comments. How do you think that we stop gun violence? Do you think that we need stricter gun laws? Do you think we need to build our communities How do you think we need to build our communities? Please let us know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week.